Hi all. Alright, I thought I'd do a little tutorial in the Atlantis book by Hannah Carlson because I was looking at doing these beautiful birds, geese, whatever you'd like to call them, swans. So I thought I'd do a little mini tutorial on how to apply and remove masking fluid. So the things you're going to need if you wanted to do some masking fluid work is obviously masking fluid. I usually use the Winsor & Newton one, but the place that I normally go to didn't have any, so I grabbed some of the Liquitex masking fluid, and it's the same. Like, I can't tell any difference between it. You can also get a coloured masking fluid. I think it's usually blue, so you can see it a bit easier on your page as well. That's totally fine to use if that's what you have available to you. The other thing you're going to need, well, the other thing I use is a little jar to tip it in because I don't like going out of the bottle. The air does start to change the liquid. So I actually decant it into a little jar. So I've just got a little jar for that. The other thing I use is these little brushes. Now they are silicone tipped. So I've used these for years. These are old. You have seen me use them previous videos over the years where I have used masking fluid. So they all come different shapes. They're like a sculpting tool. You can get them at most cheap shops. I think these cost me about $6. There was other ones. I'm just not sure where I've put them at this point, but that's okay. So yeah, silicone brushes is the next thing. Don't use normal paint brushes. It actually clogs up the hair, the bristles, and it just ruins them. It leaves them unusable. So yeah, don't use paint brushes. Go with the silicone brushes. They are the best. All right, so what I normally do, actually I'm going to tape that side if I've got some here. Yeah, just so I'm not getting it or anything for that matter on that page. So I'm just using some washi and I'm just going to tape this side down. So I'm going to come into that groove. So when I go to apply my ink, it won't go on that page either. So just run it along. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is decant some of that liquid into my little jar. So give it a good shake before using, obviously. Get it mixed up. All right. Now, once it dries in the jar too, if you let it dry, you can just use your finger to peel it out again. So for example, I think there's a little bit in here now. Roll your finger in the jar and it'll come straight out into a little ball or a little string. All right, so I decant some in. I got the shakes because I've just come back from training. There we go, into the jar. And I use my silicone brush. I do like the pointed tip one the best because I can get in all the little grooves. So basically all I do is I'm going to cover the whole bird because I'm going to go over with inks and it's just easier for me to cover the whole lot. So basically you're dipping it into your masking fluid, and then just like a paintbrush, you're going to start painting it on and spreading it out. Now I've found if I spread it too thinly, it will rip the paper and it is harder to remove. So I do use quite a good layer on the paper. So I do layer it quite thickly. If you are using it on thinner paper, it can warp. So just be wary of that. It might warp your paper. As you can see, it's starting to get a little bit of a warp in it here. I don't actually care about that. It doesn't bother me. I use a lot of like Neo 2s and stuff anyway, so I end up with a bit of warping, but I don't mind. Now just be careful, wherever you go over the lines, the colour will not apply there. So for example, if I go over the edge and then apply my inks, once I peel that away, it will not have any colour in that spot. So be very careful not to go over the lines as best as you can, because you will have gaps once you peel it. Alright, so I'm just going to come down the body. The reason I like the silicone is because you can still maneuver it into places with that tip. And it's the reason I like the pointy one is, yeah, because I can get into those little spaces a little bit easier without smushing it all over the place. So yeah, especially when you've got like little bits of fur and stuff here. So yeah, pretty much just covering everything on here and just staying within the lines. It's like you're painting, yeah, with any paint, I guess, just one color. So yeah, just work your way along. Just make sure that you don't miss any parts, especially if you're going to do what I do and go over the whole picture with the ink, because you will get, whoop, you will get splotches of ink show up in the area that you don't want it. So yeah, make sure that you are covering your whole area with the masking fluid. Other than that, there's not a lot of tricks for the application side of it. I do have a few little tricks that I use when removing the masking fluid, which we will go over once I get to that point, but I'm going to obviously colour and do all that stuff before I get to that point. So I just wanted to video actually applying it for you guys as well, and kind of talking through what I do, because I haven't done, yeah, I did one recently, I guess, that talks about it, but thought, why not? Sorry, that is my ducks and geese out there having a tiff. And a good old chat there by the sound of it. So yeah, working away as I go. So yeah, just re-dipping, making sure I've got enough to spread. Like I said, you don't want to go too thin on this. Yeah, it will rip once you go to take it off. Okay. So just following the lines basically of whatever you don't want coloured. Now I use this when I'm using my inks. Sometimes I feel with the Neo 2s I can get a bit messy, and if I really don't want the colour on my object, I will use it with the Neo 2s as well. I'll just pop it on first and then work with my Neo 2s. You can use it obviously with watercolour. Now I don't use a lot of watercolour, it's more when I'm using my inks that I will do this. But yeah, obviously if you're a watercolorist and you like doing that in your books, you can use this to eliminate where that paint's going on your picture. I know some people don't mind having it on the picture, but if you're like me, you can eliminate it. Now on these small parts, I kind of try and dob it into like the thickest part of where it is, and then use the very, very tip to pull the fluid into the other areas, if that makes sense. So I'll put it into this thicker area and then pull it into the area that's not as thick. And it's not always going to be perfect. I just go back in with a pencil once I'm done. That's, you know, a similar color as the background, and color any missing parts, I guess. Oh yeah, there we go. So yeah, you do need to be obviously careful when you've got those smaller areas, but again, that's why I really like using this brush with the flexible point. So yeah, there's not really many other tricks or tips, I think, for the application. Yeah, just not too thin. use your silicone brushes. Take your time. Make sure you get in all the little areas. Be careful not to go over those outlines because you will lose that area to, you won't have any color left in that area once you remove it. So yeah, just take your time, fill it all in. So that's one side of the bird. What I will do is I'll speed you guys up so you can watch me do the rest in a second. I'll just do a little bit more on this one in normal speed, I guess, so you can see. It does take a while, especially if you're being very careful with it. Like these birds have a lot of feathers that are obviously individualized towards the end where the feathers peak comes out. So that does take a little bit more to, I guess, you know, be careful at where it's going. Alright, put that out there. Yeah, take your time. Put a movie on, relax while you do it. So it's worth it in the end, especially when you get those really nice ink backgrounds and those really nice blends and things like that. I don't have to worry about ruining my picture. So yeah, I guess this kind of gives you a bit of an idea of real-time application time. Like I said, it does take a bit, but once you get it down, it's actually quite quick to get your background done then, because you're not having to worry about going around lines or you know, that kind of stuff. So it's actually really, I find it really quick to lay the color down once this is done. This is what takes the time, especially if you are being careful. But yeah, once it's on, you can then go to town on your background, which is awesome. And then, you know, you can add all your sparkles and you can add all that stuff as well while this is on. Unless you're like me and forget. Now I'm thinking for this picture to have a dark background because it's got the stars, so you know I'm picturing like night, galaxy maybe, I'm not sure. But yeah, dark sky, and then making them maybe like a white swan, so like the lighter feathers. So I can come in with like my white gel pen over the feathers, that'll be really cute. I'm thinking. All right, then I'm going to come in with these stars. I can come back over these with a gel pen anyway, a white gel pen, but just, yeah. Don't want that black ink on there. So I'm just going to cover them up a bit easier. Okay, so basically that's the process. So what I will do now, let me just do this part and then I will speed you up. So these thin bits are quite hard, but like I said, put it into one of the areas that are thicker and then drag into the area that's thinner. And I just put my finger on that bit. Okay. Yeah, just pulling it around as best as you can. Look, it's going to go out of the lines. You just got to work with it. You can come back in with your pencils later, and because I am doing a darker background, I can come in with blacks and darken up these areas that might go outside the lines on these skinnier little spots. I'm not too fussed, I'll make it work. But yeah, that's pretty much it around the application. So I will speed up from here on in for you guys now that you've had a look at what the real timeline is like. But yeah, as you can see, when it's drying, it does go like a yellowy color, so I can see where it is on the paper compared to like the normal paper. So yeah, all right guys, I'm going to speed you up and I will talk to you soon.
Hi,
Okay team, we are back. Now we are nice and dry. As you can see, those gorgeous sparkles now a lot better. Right, and we're going to remove the masking fluid now. So I showed you how to put it on. We've done the background, and now I'm also going to show you how to remove the masking fluid. Okay, so a couple of things that I've worked out over time is that you need to keep it close to the paper when you're removing it. Try not to pull it up and away, it will tear your paper. Okay, so basically what I do to get the stuff rolling is I'll use my finger and start coming from the edge and flicking where I know the masking fluid is, and it will start to lift. I'll show you. Start to lift the edge a little bit, and I can start to get that lift happening on the masking fluid. Okay, so I'll zoom you in so it's a little bit easier to see actually. I just have to remember to move it as we go. All right, so basically what I'm going to do is once I've got a little bit of a lift happening, I can start to pull it away from the paper. Now, the way I want to pull it, however, is close, like along the paper, rather than up and out, because like I said, it will rip your paper. Okay, so this one doesn't do it as well as the Winsor & Newton one. That's okay. So basically I want to pull going along my paper. So it will start to come away. If it tears, that's cool. Just flick the edge again. And as you can see, I must have not put enough on there. I've got a little bit of dot of the ink come through. That's okay. I don't mind too much because my pencils will cover. Now, if you do find it's ripping and you just want to do the rolling, you can do that. Just be very careful. I've found in Kirby's books, it tends to rip the paper doing that. So just go very slow and careful, again, staying close along that paper. And as you can see, as we start to remove it, that the image stays nice and clean. Okay. Yeah, this one I find the Liquitex doesn't seem to lift as well as the Winsor & Newton when you try and do the pull. Okay, so it just tends to rip. That's cool. I don't mind doing the rolling as long as it's not ripping the paper or lifting the paper. And let's try it again. So I've got my lift. Again, you want to pull it along the paper. Yeah, see, this one just rips compared to the Winsor & Newton one. All right, we'll just work with the rolling method. Just work slowly and carefully as you go. Now, if you accidentally leave any on your paper, your pencils won't color that area, obviously, and it will make it hard to put the color down because it is obviously a resistant material. So you might find that your pencil lays down funny on it. Alright. So yeah, just work slow, roll, roll, roll. If you try and pull it too far too quickly, you will rip it, even with your rolling method. So just like that, it did lift it a little bit, I think. Yeah, see, it's lifted the paper there, and here it's starting to lift it, and you can see it where the lines come up. Okay. All right, so the other thing with the masking fluid is, yeah, make sure if you're using ink to give it a wipe before you get to this point, because if you do have any residual ink on that masking fluid, it will rub off onto your finger and then onto your paper. So you don't want that. So give it a wipe before you get to this point. Obviously forgot to put it on that one. That's what happens when I do things on camera. I'm not as vigilant, I think. Yeah, just working slowly along the picture. Again, it is a little bit time consuming, but I don't know. I feel like the results are worth it when I use it, so I don't mind. Like I said, I normally put a movie on while I'm doing this kind of monotonous task anyway, so I don't mind too much. What I'll do is I'll finish this little bit of the wing off and then I'll speed you guys up. You can watch it as I'm doing it, and that way you're not sitting here watching the entire process, because it's the same thing across the page anyway. So yeah, and I'll come back at the end and show you what it looks like once it's all removed, and you can see what it, yeah, kind of the effect it has on your picture. Alright, so finish this bit here. Alright, I'll speed you guys up and you can come back at the end and see what it looks like. Okay, so we're back. We've taken all of that off. This is pretty much what's left at the end. It's pretty gross. But yeah, just like a big rubber ball, I guess. Anyway, that's what is left. All right, so now as you can see, we are left with our beautiful background and our white paper for where we can now colour. I forgot to mention too that before I took that off, I did spray the background with our workable fixative because I didn't want to scrape all of that gold off with my hand or my fingers. So I did give that a spray. And yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. That's the process for the application, the background, and the removing of the, what do you call it? Masking fluid. All right, guys, I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you'd like to see any other videos, and I will try and get them out for you. All righty, guys, have a good week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.